as always, if you are looking for more ASMR content from me, I do have my original ASMR channel always linked in my description box below. And as always, my script and my notes are going to be on this side of the screen, which is why I will be looking over there quite a bit throughout the video. But other than that, let's just get right into it. The Jamison family comprised of Bobby Dale Jamison, Sherilyn Leanne Jamison, and their 6-year-old daughter, Madison Stormy Star Jamison, lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma, a small town surrounded by rolling hills and thick woods. The family led a life that, to outsiders, seemed marked by peculiar behavior and unconventional beliefs. Although they appeared to be a typical family on the surface, those who knew them closely or interacted with them recounted a series of strange practices, interpersonal conflicts, and an overall sense of unease that seemed to shroud their household. Now for some family background. Bobby Dale Jamison was described as a quiet and reserved man. In his early 30s, he had a background in construction, but had been unemployed for some time due to a back injury sustained in a car accident. This injury not only caused him chronic pain, but also severely impacted his mental health, leaving him prone to bouts of depression. His physical and emotional struggles created tension in the family, as he found himself unable to provide in the way he once could. Despite these challenges, Bobby was a devoted father who appeared to cherish his daughter, Madison. Sherilyn Jamison, Bobby's wife, was described by friends and family as creative and outspoken, but also troubled by her own mental health issues. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, Sherilyn's mood swings and emotional instability sometimes alienated those around her. She was known for her strong beliefs in spirituality and the paranormal, which heavily influenced the family's lifestyle. Sherilyn's writings and artwork, often dark and cryptic, reflected her fascination with otherworldly themes. She also reportedly claimed to have seen spirits within the family's home, an experience she spoke of openly and with conviction. Madison Stormy Star Jamison, the couple's young daughter, was the light of their lives. Described as a bright and lively child, she was adored by her parents. Madison's cheerful demeanor often contrasted with the tense and heavy atmosphere of the Jamison household. Neighbors and acquaintances noted that despite the family's eccentricities, Bobby and Sherilyn appeared to deeply love and care for their daughter, often doting on her and prioritizing her happiness. One of the most striking aspects of the Jamison family's background was their immersion in unconventional spiritual beliefs. Both Bobby and Sherilyn reportedly believed in the existence of spirits and other supernatural entities. Sherilyn, in particular, expressed a strong belief that their home was haunted. She claimed to have seen the apparitions of children and other mysterious figures within the house. These alleged hauntings seemed to deeply affect the family, as Bobby himself later confided in a pastor about their unsettling experiences. The Jamison spiritual practices were unconventional and, at times, alarming to those who observed them. For instance, the couple reportedly consulted a spiritualist for guidance and sought to rid their home Additionally, Sherilyn's interest in the occult extended to her personal writings and interactions with others. She was known to write about spiritual warfare, demons, and protection against dark forces. Some of her friends described her as being deeply committed to exploring the metaphysical and spiritual realm, though her intensity sometimes made others uncomfortable. Despite living in a small community, the Jamisons were notably private and isolated. They had few close relationships outside of their immediate family and often kept to themselves. This isolation was partly due to their mental health struggles and partly due to conflicts with neighbors and extended family members. Sherilyn, in particular, had a reputation for being outspoken and confrontational. She reportedly had a contentious relationship with Bobby's father, Bob Dean Jamison, who she accused of threatening and intimidating the family. Sherilyn even filed a protective order against Bob Dean, alleging that he had threatened to kill them on multiple occasions. This legal action strained the family's already fraught relationship with Bobby's father, creating a sense of paranoia and fear that lingered in their lives. Neighbors also recalled instances that highlighted the family's erratic behavior. On one occasion, Sherilyn painted graffiti on a storage container located on the family's property. The messages were bizarre and unsettling, referencing death and spirituality. While some saw this as an expression of her artistic personality, others viewed it as a sign of deeper turmoil within the household. The Jamisons' financial situation was another source of strain. Bobby's back injury left him unable to work, and the family relied on disability benefits and Sherilyn's occasional jobs to make ends meet. Their limited income meant that they often struggled to maintain their home and lifestyle, further compounding their stress. In addition to their financial troubles, both Bobby and Sherilyn's health challenges, physical and mental, made daily life difficult. Bobby's chronic pain and depression left him withdrawn, while Sherilyn's bipolar disorder often led to unpredictable behavior. Friends and family noted that the couple seemed overwhelmed and fatigued by their circumstances, which may have contributed to their increasingly unorthodox beliefs and practices. In the months leading up to their disappearance, the Jamison family's behavior became increasingly erratic. Friends and acquaintances noted that the couple seemed paranoid and preoccupied with unseen forces. Sherilyn's writings and actions also reflected a growing obsession with the paranormal, as she continued to document her thoughts about spirits, demons, and protection rituals. Some friends and neighbors speculated that the family's behavior might have been influenced by substance abuse, although there was no concrete evidence to support this claim. Others suggested that their isolation and financial struggles had exacerbated their mental health issues. The events leading up to the Jamison family's disappearance began in October 2009, when Bobby and Sherilyn Jamison decided to pursue a new beginning away from their home. The couple had been exploring the idea of purchasing a 40-acre plot of land in the remote mountains of Red Oak, Oklahoma, approximately 30 miles from their residence. They envisioned living off the grid, embracing a simpler and more self-sustaining lifestyle. This plan appeared to offer them a chance to escape their financial troubles, health challenges, and the perceived negative energy of their current home. On October 8th, 2009, the Jamison family, Bobby, Sherilyn, and 6-year-old Madison, set out for a trip to Red Oak to inspect the property that they were considering purchasing. According to reports, they intended to finalize details and survey the land. Before leaving, the family packed their white pickup truck with personal items, including a GPS device, a cell phone, and an odd assortment of belongings, such as coats, a small amount of cash, and a bag containing their dog, Maisie. Notably, the family also brought along an estimated $32,000 in cash, a detail that would later fuel speculation about the circumstances surrounding their disappearance. The Jamisons were last seen alive on October 8th, captured on surveillance footage at their residence as they loaded items into their truck. The footage depicted both Bobby and Sherilyn moving slowly and deliberately, often pausing to stand motionless and stare into space. This strange behavior raised questions about their mental state, though no definitive conclusions could be drawn. When the family failed to return or make contact with anyone in the days following their trip, concerns quickly grew among friends and relatives. On October 17th, 2009, hunters in a remote area of Latimer County discovered the Jamisons' abandoned truck parked along a dirt road. The vehicle, located near the property they had intended to inspect, appeared to have been left in a hurry. Inside the truck, authorities found several puzzling items. The Jamisons' dog, Maisie, was discovered alive but severely malnourished, having been trapped in the vehicle for days. The family's cell phones, wallets, and IDs were also inside, along with the GPS device and the $32,000 in cash stored in a bag beneath one of the seats. The presence of such a large sum of money raised immediate questions about its purpose and whether it could be linked to the family's disappearance. Additionally, the truck contained a small amount of clothing and personal items, but there were no signs of a struggle or foul play within the vehicle. The discovery of the truck prompted an extensive search of the surrounding area. Local law enforcement, volunteers, and search and rescue teams scoured the rugged terrain, utilizing ground searches, aerial surveillance, and canine units. The area's dense woods, steep hills, and unpredictable weather conditions posed significant challenges, and no trace of the Jamison family was initially found. Investigators reviewed the GPS device recovered from the truck, which provided critical clues about the family's movements on the day of their disappearance. The coordinates led search teams to a specific location approximately a quarter-mile from where the truck was discovered. However, despite concentrated efforts in this area, the search yielded no new evidence. Frustration mounted as days turned into weeks with no sign of the family. In the absence of leads, law enforcement explored various possibilities regarding the family's fate. Speculation ranged from voluntary disappearance and foul play to involvement in illegal activity. Investigators conducted interviews with family members, friends, and acquaintances, but no one could provide definite answers about what happened to Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison. The case quickly gained international attention and drew widespread media coverage and public interest. For over 4 years, discovery site was located approximately 3 miles from where the Jamison's truck had been found in 2009. The remains were scattered across the ground, partially concealed by leaves and underbrush, suggesting they had been exposed to the elements for an extended period of time. The remains were later identified as those of Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison Jamison through forensic analysis, including dental records. Alongside the skeletal remains, investigators found fragments of clothing and shoes, some which were consistent with the attire that the family had been wearing at the time of their disappearance. No personal items such as wallets, cell phones, or weapons were recovered at the site, further complicating efforts to determine what had happened to the family. The conditions of the bodies raised more questions than answers. Due to the advanced state of decomposition, it was impossible to determine a definitive cause of death for any of the 3 family members. Forensic experts noted no clear evidence of trauma, such as gunshot wounds or blunt force injuries on the skeletal remains. However, the possibility of other causes of death, including poisoning, exposure, or natural causes, could not be ruled out. Adding to the mystery was the location of the remains. The discovery site's proximity to the area previously searched in 2009 puzzled investigators, as it seemed unlikely that search teams would have overlooked such a critical find. Some speculated that the family's remains had been moved or concealed before being discovered, though no definitive evidence supported this theory. The conditions of the remains also left an open possibility of animal scavenging, which could have contributed to their scattered placement and the absence of certain bones. However, the lack of concrete forensic evidence hindered any attempts to build a clear timeline or narrative about what had occurred. There are many theories that posit what could have happened to the Jamison family, and they range from foul play to spiritual involvement, which reflect the eerie and ambiguous nature of the case. And we're going to go over some of the most popular, I guess is the word, theories of what happened to this family. So the first one we're going to discuss is murder-suicide. One of the most prevalent theories is that the Jamison family's deaths were the result of a murder-suicide orchestrated by either Bobby or Sherilyn. This theory gained traction due to the family's history of mental health struggles. Sherilyn had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was known to have severe mood swings. Bobby, too, had experienced depression and chronic pain following the car accident that left him partially disabled. Adding weight to this theory is a .22 caliber handgun that Sherilyn reportedly owned. Though the weapon was never recovered, its absence raised the possibility that it might have been involved in the family's deaths. Some investigators speculated that an argument or breakdown in the remote wilderness could have escalated into violence. However, no concrete evidence of gunshot wounds was found on the remains, leaving this theory inconclusive. The second theory is foul play. Another widely discussed possibility is that the Jamison family fell victim to foul play. The large sum of cash found in their truck, over $32,000, raised suspicions that the family might have been targeted by someone seeking to rob or harm them. Additionally, the isolated area where the truck and bodies were discovered would have made them vulnerable to an attack. There were also reports that Bobby had ongoing conflicts with his father, who Sherilyn accused of threatening the family, as I previously mentioned. In the protective order filed by Sherilyn, she alleged that Bob Dean had evidence linking him to the crime. Furthermore, Bob Dean died in December 2009, shortly after the family disappeared, which further complicated this line of inquiry. Others theorize that the Jamisons could have encountered a stranger or group with malicious intent while exploring the area. However, the lack of forensic evidence pointing to a violent struggle at the scene made this theory difficult to substantiate, along with the fact that the $32,000 was not stolen from the vehicle. Now for the next theory, some posit that it could have been a drug-related incident. Speculation also emerged that the Jamison family might have been involved in drug activity, possibly methamphetamine production or trafficking, given the prevalence of such operations in rural Oklahoma. The family's erratic behavior in the months leading up to their disappearance, including their strange movements captured on surveillance footage, was interpreted by some as potential signs of drug use and/or paranoia. However, no evidence of drug involvement was ever found. The cash in their truck, which some believed could have been related to drug transactions, had no clear origin, but family members denied that Bobby or Sherilyn had any history of drug use. Additionally, toxicology reports on their remains were inconclusive due to the decomposition, leaving this theory unresolved. Now, the next theory is cult involvement, or spiritual warfare, which is what Bobby would have called it. Given the Jamisons family's strong belief in the paranormal and their reported experiences with spirits, some have suggested that their deaths might have been connected to occult practices or spiritual warfare. Sherilyn was deeply interested in spiritual themes and had written extensively about battling dark forces. Bobby reportedly told their pastor that they had encountered evil spirits in their home and sought spiritual guidance. There were also rumors that Sherilyn had dabbled in occult practices, or that the family had been targeted by a cult. The remote location of their disappearance and their isolation from others fueled speculation that they might have encountered individuals with sinister motives. However, no evidence of cult activity or ritualistic behavior was discovered at the scene. Now for the next theory. Another plausible explanation is that the Jamison family became lost or incapacitated in the wilderness and succumbed to the elements. The remote, rugged terrain of Red Oak, Oklahoma, is known for its steep hills, thick woods, and unpredictable weather. If the family had wandered too far from their truck without proper supplies, they could have become quickly disoriented or dehydrated. Supporters of this theory point out that no evidence of foul play or significant trauma was found on the remains. The scattered conditions of their bones could be attributed to animal scavenging, further complicating efforts to determine the cause of death. However, critics argue that the family's familiarity with the area and the short distance between their truck and the location of their bodies makes this theory less convincing. For the next theory, it's going to be voluntary disappearance. So some believe that the Jamison family's disappearance was the result of their own paranoia and desire to escape perceived threats. Friends and family noted that Bobby and Sherilyn had grown increasingly reclusive and distrustful of others in the months before their disappearance. Bobby reportedly carried a large amount of cash due to mistrust of banks, and Sherilyn's writing revealed a deep-seated fear of evil forces. Proponents of this theory suggest that the family might have deliberately disappeared to start a new life, but may have become lost or met with unseen circumstances. However, the presence of their dog Maisie and personal belongings in the truck suggests that they did not intend to abandon these items, making this theory unlikely to many. For the last theory, we're going to talk about supernatural or extraterrestrial causes, just because this is technically another popular theory and due to the nature of everything that I have said about the parents. So, finally, some theorists propose that the Jamison family's deaths was the result of supernatural or extraterrestrial forces. The family's belief in spirits and the paranormal led some to speculate that they might have been influenced or harmed by unseen entities. Others pointed to their strange behavior on the surveillance footage as evidence of possession or otherworldly influence. While these theories are largely speculative and lack evidence, they underscore the eerie and inexplicable elements of the case, which continue to fascinate those who study it. So, the Jamison family's mysterious disappearance and deaths remain one of the most perplexing unsolved cases in recent history. Each theory presents its own possibilities and unanswered questions, reflecting the complexity of the evidence and the absence of definitive answers. Whether the result of foul play, an accident, or something more unorthodox, the fate of Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison Jamison continues to intrigue and confound investigators and the public alike. Now, I remember seeing the BuzzFeed Unsolved episode of this case years ago, and I have thought about it for years. If you've never seen that episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved, I would definitely consider it. It's a really good episode. It's a very interesting case, clearly. There's so many things about this case that are just so crazy to me. Like, first of all, where did you get $32,000 if one of you couldn't work and the other one barely worked, and you were living in financial struggle? Another thing, if you were going to leave the truck, why not bring it with you? Or if someone was trying to hurt you, why not steal the cash? I understand that even if somebody had a personal vendetta or motive against them and wanted to hurt them, there is absolutely no reason why you would not also just take the $32,000 at that point, if that makes sense. But also that absence of gunshot wounds or like head trauma is also pretty perplexing, because you would think that if they were attacked or killed, that would be one of the ways that they would do it, unless a person manually strangled each of the family members, which wouldn't make any sense, because how would you restrain the other ones? It's just, and again, why wouldn't you steal the money? It's just a lot of things. But yeah, just this case is crazy. Nothing really seems to make perfect sense. But I hope that you guys did enjoy tonight's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.